Hello and welcome back to Instagram for Bosses. I'm your host, Andrea, and it's my mission to simplify Instagram marketing so you can consistently attract ready-to-invest clients without posting every day or living on your phone. Today's episode is one I've been wanting to record for a while now because I keep hearing the same thing from business owners lately. Instagram in 2026 just feels harder, and inquiries seem to be inconsistent. And sometimes it feels like your competitors' content is everywhere while yours is barely being seen. Meanwhile, you're looking at your own content thinking, why does theirs feel like an established brand and ours just feels like random posts? If you've had that thought before, you're definitely not alone. But here's the interesting thing. I don't actually think Instagram is getting harder. What's happening is the way that people are using Instagram has changed. In 2026, Instagram is behaving much more like a search engine. People aren't just opening the app to see what their friends are up to anymore. They're opening it to research businesses before making a buying decision. And once you understand that shift, a lot of things that feel confusing about Instagram right now actually start to make sense. So in this episode, I want to walk you through a few of the biggest changes I'm seeing on the platform right now. Not gimmicks or hacks, but updates that actually influence how people discover your brand, build trust with you, and eventually decide to inquire. One of the things that really made this shift click for me actually had nothing to do with analytics or industry reports. It was watching the people around me. Now, obviously, I work in social media, so I've always used Instagram to research brands before buying something. If I'm booking a service, I'll look at their content, how they talk about what they do, and whether their work actually backs up what they're claiming. But what really stood out to me over the last year or so was noticing my friends and family doing the exact same thing. And these are people who don't live and breathe social media marketing like I do. They're not analyzing algorithms or thinking about engagement metrics. They're just normal people using Instagram. I started hearing things like, oh my gosh, I found this amazing brand on Instagram. You have to check them out. Or they would send me posts from businesses saying, this looks so good. Let's book it for our next girls trip. Sometimes it would be something clever, and other times it would be something really relatable or even aspirational. But what I noticed was how much trust and authority that content built for those businesses. It wasn't just entertainment, it was influencing real buying decisions. And once you start looking at Instagram through that lens, something becomes very obvious. People are using Instagram the same way they used to use Google. They're searching things like Wollongong custom engagement rings, Sydney luxury wedding venue, and South Coast bridal hair and makeup artist. They're not just scrolling, they're researching. And that shift changes what kind of content actually performs well on Instagram right now. Because the content that works best in a research environment is very different from the content that works in a purely entertainment environment. One of the biggest changes I'm seeing on Instagram right now is the type of engagement the algorithm is prioritizing. For years, everyone has been obsessed over likes, or as I like to call them, the lazy metric, because they are easy and forgettable. You double tap something while you're scrolling and move on with your day like it never happened. But saves and shares, on the other hand, are a completely different story. These signals show depth of interest. A save tells Instagram, this content is valuable enough that I want to come back to it later. A share tells Instagram, this was so interesting, relatable, or helpful that I had to send it to someone else. And that second one, shares, is especially powerful. Because when someone sends your content privately through DMs, it signals to Instagram that your content was important enough to be part of an actual conversation between people. Now, that's a very strong trust signal. What often happens next is that the Instagram algorithm starts to show your future content to both the person who shared the post and the person who received it. So suddenly your content is reaching new people who already have some form of trust and connection with you. And this is why in our agency, we don't beg for likes on our clients' accounts. Instead, we focus on creating content people naturally want to save or share with a friend. Let me give you another example. If you're a wedding planner, you could create a reel about how to tell your mother-in-law no to the extra guests she wants to invite without starting a family drama. Every bride listening to this right now knows exactly what I'm talking about. That kind of content is highly likely to get sent privately between brides and their bridal party. Someone sends it to their friend saying, "Oh my gosh, this is literally my life right now." And when that happens, Instagram starts to recognize that you are speaking directly to a very specific audience. In this case, brides who are navigating wedding planning. So the platform becomes much more confident pushing your content out to more people who look like that audience. That's how authority actually starts to build on Instagram. Not through random viral posts, but through content that makes people think this person gets it. Another shift that's happening right now is how Instagram's AI is indexing content. And this is also why captions are becoming important again. For years we were told people don't read captions. But when Instagram starts behaving more like a search engine, captions suddenly become a lot more valuable. Because Instagram is now indexing keywords inside your content, not just hashtags, your actual caption. And that's also why hashtags have become far less important than they used to be. Instagram has actually started capping hashtag usage to 5 per post, which tells us something pretty important about how discovery is evolving on the platform. Instead of relying on hashtags to categorize your content, Instagram is now analyzing your entire caption to understand what you're talking about and ultimately whether you're knowledgeable about that topic. Because Instagram is competing with platforms like Google and TikTok when it comes to search behavior, it means it needs enough context to determine whether your content should be shown to someone who's researching a particular topic. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to suddenly start writing captions that take up the entire 2,200 character limit Instagram allows, but it does mean that those really short captions like "dreamy space" or "obsessed with this" aren't giving the algorithm much information to work with. They might look nice and be appealing because they save you time, but they don't help Instagram understand what you actually do and are therefore a dead weight on your account. So the opportunity here is to use captions to naturally weave in the kind of language your potential clients are already searching for. For example, if you're an interior designer, instead of posting a photo and writing something like "dreamy space," you could write a short breakdown explaining how you styled that space to create that feeling. You can talk about the layout, the textures, and the colors you chose and why you specifically chose them. Now, suddenly Instagram understands that this post relates to interior styling and design expertise. Or, if you're a wedding photographer, instead of writing "the beautiful couple," you could explain how you help couples feel relaxed on the day so you can capture those really natural moments. You're still telling a story, but you're also giving Instagram far more context about what you do and who you're for. And when someone later searches something like "wedding photographer," Instagram now has more data to determine whether your content should appear in those results. Another really interesting change that we're seeing right now on Instagram is the length of Reels. Instagram has increased the maximum length of Reels to 20 minutes. Now, that's a pretty big change because for years, the advice online was all about creating super short and punchy Reels. But when Instagram increases video length that dramatically, it signals something important about the direction the platform is heading. Instagram is clearly positioning itself to compete more directly with YouTube when it comes to longer form educational content. And for beauty, bridal, and lifestyle service brands, this actually provides a significant opportunity because longer videos allow you to showcase your expertise. Instead of trying to cram everything into a quick trendy reel, you can now create content that actually demonstrates what you know. And the key metric Instagram is prioritizing here is watch time and completion rate, not just views, because anyone can scroll past a 5-second reel, but if someone watches a 10-minute video from start to finish, that signals something very different. It tells Instagram that the viewer is deeply interested in that topic, and that's the exact kind of signal the platform is now paying attention to. So if you're in an industry like beauty, bridal, or lifestyle, this opens up some really interesting content opportunity. For example, if you're in the beauty space, you could film a show and tell style "get ready with me" reel, showing the products you regularly use on clients and the real transformation they provide. Or even something like a 10-minute masterclass on how brides should prepare their skin before their wedding day. Now, the goal with this type of content isn't necessarily huge view counts, but rather watch time. because the people who are genuinely interested in your services are far more likely to invest the time in watching that type of video. And those viewers are also far more likely to convert into bookings than someone who casually watches a 5-second reel while scrolling. So instead of thinking about video length as something you need to keep shorter and shorter, you can start thinking about it as an authority tool. The next shift I'm noticing is how the buyer journey on Instagram is changing. A lot of people still think the DMs is where selling happens, but in reality, most of the decision has already happened before that message is sent. By the time someone sends you a DM, the decision is often almost always made. And I've actually experienced this myself recently. I've always admired her work and enjoyed her content. It just wasn't the right time for me to invest in her services. Then earlier this year, she shared a post that caught my attention, and it just so happened that the timing was perfectly aligned for me at that point. So I sent her a DM, and within a week, I was working with her. Now, if you looked at that interaction from the outside, it would look like a very quick sale. But in reality, the decision had been building for years through her content. And I see this exact same thing happening inside our agency too, especially with clients that have higher ticket services where the buying decision naturally takes longer. People watch, follow along, and build trust and rapport with you over time. Then one piece of content lands at the exact right moment, and suddenly they're ready to invest. Another behavior that's also becoming really popular is the comment to DM flow. You've probably seen this before. A brand might say something like, comment the word guide and I'll send you the free resource. When someone comments that keyword, they receive a DM with the freebie. Now, when this is done well, it's actually a really effective way to start conversations with potential clients because it gives people a low pressure entry point into your world. They're not jumping straight into a sales conversation, but simply requesting something helpful. From there, a relationship can develop naturally, so the DM becomes less about convincing someone to work with you and more about helping someone who's already leaning in. All right, now if you're wondering what to actually do with all of this information, the biggest change you can make right now that is going to have the most impact is this. Start creating content that makes people want to save and share it. Because when someone saves your content, it tells Instagram, this is valuable, I want to come back to it later. And when someone shares your content, it tells Instagram, this was interesting enough that I had to send it to someone else. Those are very strong signals that not only help Instagram understand what your content is about, but also help it determine who else should see it. And that's how you start reaching more of the right people and not just anyone and everyone. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of the other updates we talked about today actually support this. Writing longer captions that allow you to weave in keywords and context, creating educational videos that increase watch time and demonstrate expertise, and creating content that solves real problems, increasing the likelihood of being shared privately between people. So all of these changes ultimately point back to the same thing. Creating content that actually helps, teaches, or resonates deeply with your ideal client. If this episode has made you realize that your Instagram might not actually be set up to support how people are using the platform right now, I've created something that will really help. It's a free Instagram assessment that helps you determine whether your Instagram is actually built to generate inquiries. Because the reality is a lot of businesses are posting consistently, but their profile, messaging, and content structure aren't set up to support the way buyers are researching brands today. Inside the assessment, you'll get clarity on where the gaps are in your current Instagram strategy and what you should focus on next. You'll find the link in the show notes if you'd like to check that out. And if you're listening to this thinking, I don't actually want to figure this all out myself, then you can also book a strategy call with us to see if we're a good fit to work together. At Andrea Marie Creative, we specialize in social media management for beauty, lifestyle, bridal, and service brands who want Instagram to become a reliable inquiry channel, not just somewhere they post content. So if that sounds like something you'd like to support with, you can book a call using the link in the show notes. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this episode resonated, take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram stories. Don't forget to tag me at Andrea Marie Creative because I love seeing who's listening and chatting with you over there. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow the show so you don't miss the next episode. And if you really want to make my day, you can leave a rating and review. It really helps the show to grow and impact more business owners. Have an amazing week, and I'll catch you in the next one.